The Galactic Military Academy's combat simulation hall buzzed with anticipation as instructor Velkara announced the day's exercise. Hazel stood among the 73 cadets, the only human in a sea of scales, fur, and chitinous armor. She'd grown accustomed to the stares, the whispers in languages she couldn't fully understand, and the barely concealed contempt from species who considered humanity's recent addition to the Galactic Coalition a clerical error. Today's scenario, Velkara's mandibles clicked, involves hostage extraction under heavy fire. Teams of 5. Random assignment. Hazel's datapad pinged. Her team appeared on screen. 3 Krolix warriors, built like armored bears with serrated claws, and 1 Syrian scout, whose species prided themselves on tactical superiority. Their leader was Throkanal, a Krolix who'd made no secret of his disdain for the soft skin in their midst. The teams assembled in their designated prep zones. Throkanal towered over Hazel, his amber eyes gleaming with something that wasn't quite amusement. "The human gets point position," he announced, his translator rendering his growls into flat, emotionless standard. The other Krolix chittered their version of laughter. Hazel raised an eyebrow. Point position in a hostage scenario meant first through the door, first in the line of fire. It was typically reserved for the most expendable team member or the most heavily armored. She was neither. "That's a tactical error," she said calmly. "I should be running Overwatch, or did I ask for your input?" "Human." Throkanal leaned closer, his breath hot and metallic. "Or are you too cowardly to take point? Perhaps humans should stick to serving drinks on pleasure cruises rather than pretending to be soldiers." The other cadets within earshot turned to watch. This was entertainment the human being put in her place. Hazel felt Leo's eyes on her from across the hall. Her friend, another human cadet, stood with his own team, jaw clenched. She gave him the slightest shake of her head. "Not worth it." "Point position it is," Hazel said. Her voice leveled. The simulation began. The environment materialized around them. An industrial complex on a high-gravity world. Smoke obscuring sightlines, the sounds of plasma fire echoing through metal corridors. Their objective pulsed on their HUD's 3 hostages. 200 meters deep into hostile territory, Hazel moved forward, her lighter frame suddenly an advantage as she navigated the narrow passages. Behind her, the Krolix had to turn sideways to fit through some corridors, their heavy armor scraping against walls. She could hear Throkanel's annoyed snarls. The first contact came fast. Enemy combatants materialized from doorways. Hazel's reaction time, honed by Earth's competitive FPS gaming culture and enhanced by genuine military training, proved faster than the simulated enemies expected. She dropped 3 hostiles in rapid succession, her movements fluid. "Adequate," Throkanal grunted, though he sounded disappointed. They pushed deeper. The simulation increased difficulty, as it always did, adapting to the team's performance. More enemies, better positioned, with overlapping fields of fire. Hazel's smaller profile allowed her to use cover the larger aliens couldn't access. She painted targets with her laser designator, calling out positions in the clipped, efficient manner Earth's military had perfected over centuries of warfare. Then came the trap. The corridor opened into a kiln box, a large room with the hostages visible in a containment field at the far end, and elevated positions all around where enemy fire could pour down. It was a classic scenario, designed to test tactical thinking under pressure. Throkanal's plan was straightforward and brutish. Charge through, overwhelm with firepower and armor. It might work for Krolix, whose natural durability could absorb tremendous punishment. "Wait," Hazel said, studying her HUD. "There's a ventilation system." "We don't have time for human cautiousness," Throkanal interrupted. "You wanted point position. Then move. Or are you stalling because you're scared?" The other Krolix laughed again. Even the Syrian seemed amused. Hazel looked at the kill box, then at her team, then back at her HUD. A strange calm settled over her, the same feeling she got during Earth's survival training in the Australian outback, where humans learned that adaptation beat raw strength every time. "Okay," she said simply. She moved into the kill box, but not the way they expected. Instead of charging straight ahead, Hazel used her Omni tool to superheat a ventilation grate, kicked it in with Earth-standard gravity-trained legs that were far stronger than her frame suggested, and disappeared into the duct system before the first shots rang out. Throkanal roared in frustration, forced to commit to his original plan. The team charged forward into devastating fire. Their shields flickered and died within seconds. Meanwhile, Hazel crawled through the narrow ducty spaces designed for maintenance, far too small for any of the larger species. Her small stature, the very thing the aliens mocked, became her greatest asset. She emerged behind the enemy positions, 30 meters above the floor on a maintenance catwalk. What happened next would be analyzed in tactical classes for the next decade. Hazel didn't have the firepower to take out all the enemy positions. She had something better: human creativity and pattern recognition. She targeted the structural supports of 2 enemy platforms with precision shots, not at the enemies themselves, but at the weak points in the simulated architecture. The platforms collapsed, causing a cascade of chaos. Enemies fell, their formations broke, and in the confusion, she rappelled down to the hostage containment field. Using a magnetic line from her kit, she breached the field using an override code she'd deduced from the facility's security patterns. Another human trait, the ability to recognize systems and exploit them, and had the hostages moving toward the exit before Throkenel's team even realized what had happened. The simulation ended. Victory flashed across everyone's HUDs. Silence filled the hall. Instructor Velkara's 6 eyes studied the replay, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke. Cadet Hazel's approach demonstrated adaptive thinking, resource management, and the ability to exploit environmental advantages. Cadet Throkenel's team demonstrated rigid tactical thinking and a failure to utilize available assets effectively. She paused. This exercise is concluded. Early dismissal. All cadets will submit a 5,000-word analysis on why assumption-based leadership fails in combat scenarios. Groans echoed through the hall. Throkenel's scales flushed dark with humiliation. Hazel walked past him toward the exit, where Leo waited with an enormous grin. As she passed Throkenel, she paused just long enough to speak quietly, though half the cadets strained to hear. "Humans don't serve drinks on pleasure cruises," she said. "We evolved on a death world where everything tried to kill us, so we learned to think our way out of problems that claws and armor couldn't solve. Maybe remember that next time." Behind her, she could hear Velkara's mandibles clicking in what she'd learned to recognize as approval. The other cadets parted as Hazel walked through them, no longer just the human girl, but a fellow warrior who'd earned her place. The message spread through the academy within hours. Underestimate humans at your own risk. They might not have the biggest claws, the thickest armor, or the strongest telepathy, but they had something just as dangerous: the ability to turn any weakness into a weapon. And in the cold mathematics of combat, that made them terrifying.